The leaves are beginning to change and Halloween is closely approaching, but I can assure you, NC State football has seen enough of the color orange.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Monday opening sponsor is Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, we're back here on Monday recapping a 24-17 loss to the Syracuse Orange on Saturday night. Overall, and I believe I said this on Saturday's postgame live, I felt like this was the closest resemblance that NC State has showed to playing a complete football game. Now, that still wasn't enough, but to turn the ball over 3 times in plus territory and miss a field goal and only lose by 7 against an electric Syracuse offense could have been a lot worse.
Oh, it absolutely could have been worse. And there are a lot of things that I look at from this game where I'm saying to myself, what are we doing? What's happening to an extent? Because, again, I am more than happy when I see a team get beat and I say, hey, that team, their playmakers just made plays. They just made plays time and time again. I'm more than happy to say that. In this moment, I am stuck feeling defeated because you haven't been defeated, if that makes sense. I'm stuck feeling defeated because you beat yourself again.
Yeah.
That's the point of beats that, really bothers me. And the worst thing about it is there are ways in which we defeated ourselves that we didn't even talk about Saturday, but upon watching the game again and upon thinking more deeply on the game, I'm like, what were we doing? So I'm just, in the words of the viral TikTok sound, grandma not mad, she's just disappointed, baby. I'm just disappointed because I sit here again saying to myself, at what point in time are we going to get out of our own way? That's what I would like to see. And if we get out of our own way, we play our best football and the team just beats you, they just beat you. They just beat you. I'm not mad at a corner being bad at locating the ball. I'm okay with that. It happens. Hey, if that's not in that guy's toolkit, it's not in his toolkit. Okay, cool. Whatever. You live with that. I'm not mad at, a linebacking core that we knew there was going to be some regressing to some degree. Now, don't get me wrong. You're still a Division I football player, and I expect you to make certain plays, but I'm okay with regressing to a degree. In that realm. The thing that blows me is, again, there is just so many boneheaded mistakes time and time and time again. And again, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, the refs helped one way or the other, whatever the case may be. The officiating is always going to be bad. And if you play for NC State, you should always count on it working against you. But with that being said, you have to create your own breaks, create your own luck, create your own favors. And we have not done so. And it's so disappointing to watch because, again, I'm watching guys that I know you're better than that, not be. I'm watching guys that I know I have seen you make that play routinely, not make that play. I'm watching guys I know you're capable of that catch, drop it. And so, it's really, really, it's tough to describe that feeling of can't get right-itis, but we got a bad case of it. We got a bad case of it. And whatever we got to do to shake it, we got to bring in a voodoo priest or something like that. Bring them out. Bring out the chicken balls. We'll take care of it because this is just downright disappointing.
I agree with you because I think it's one thing to be completely outmatched and overpowered, like against Tennessee. Sure, they have better athletes than we do. They have more speed. They have more strength. Fine. Clemson, I think more of the same. They just have a better team top to bottom than NC State has. But the rest of these games, NC State is not devoid of talent. They don't lack the playmaking ability on either side of the ball. The number one most frustrating thing about the way we are losing is because we're repeatedly shooting ourselves in the foot. We're in position to make the play, and then the play is not being made. Or in this example against Syracuse, turning the ball over 3 times in plus territory. And if you zoom in just a little bit further than that, not only was it in plus territory, you are right there near the red zone. You're deep in plus territory. When Kendrick Raphael fumbled, it was a 1st and 10 play on the Syracuse 32. He runs 15 yards and then fumbles, recovered on the Syracuse 17. CJ Bailey, when he was blindsided, sack, fumble. 2nd and 7, the fumble was recovered on the Syracuse 27. Then the interception, CJ Bailey threw it, hit off of both hands of Kendrick Raphael. That interception was caught on the Syracuse 21. You are deep inside of Syracuse territory on drives that you had been moving the ball for the entirety of the drive, effectively. I thought this was CJ Bailey's probably his best game as a passer.
By a mile.
Best game as a passer, finding his open guys, making better reads, which the reads are still a work in progress. He's a freshman, but by and large, this was his best performance as a quarterback so far. And so to move the field better than we had been anticipating, you're finding Noah Rodgers, you're finding KC on different plays than just a screenplay. You're moving the ball down the field, and then it all blows up in your face because you fumble in deep Syracuse territory. Or you throw a bad interception that hits off of both of the running backs' hands, and it's going 40 yards the opposite direction. Kills you. And when you're NC State, we've said this many, many, many times before. If you're so wrapped up in beating yourself, how can you possibly expect to beat another opponent? It's just not going to happen. And something else I said on Saturday night, all told, I thought the defense played fine. Against Syracuse, an air raid offense, one of the best offenses in the country, you only gave up 24 points. And Syracuse had like 30 more offensive plays than NC State had. The turnovers and the total plays, that was the difference. When you turn the ball over in that type of fashion, it puts so much more stress on a defense that has been shuffling so far this season. That is the story of the game. Did Syracuse make more plays than NC State? Yeah, sure. But NC State did not help their case at all.
The thing that I want to touch on here is even against Clemson and Tennessee, there were operational things done in that game that were basic. Day one stuff that I'm like, how? Where do you – who taught you that? Who taught you to do that? And so, you know, again, I would love, even if this team loses, love to see a game where they're competing their balls off, playing their best football.
Right.
And it's just another team is just better than you while you're playing your best football. Because, again, we have said earlier in the season, I still stand by, even if you play your best football, Tennessee's playing their best football, you probably lose that game. You're playing your best football, Clemson's playing their best football, you probably lose that game. I just want to see this team's best football. And honestly and truly, at this point, this kind of is who this team is. This kind of is who this team is, this refusal to get out of their way that starts at the top, at the coaching, and does not come down. Justin Jolie had 2 targets all night. One was a 4th and how long conversion? Was it 4th and 9?
4th and 12. 4th and 12.
4th and 12. One was a 4th and 12 conversion, and the other one, what happened on that play? What happened on the other?
He scored.
I want to say it was something significant. Oh, a touchdown.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing. And this is what I mean by it's self-inflicted from the top down, because I look at it like this. When I had a job that gave me lunch stipends, the first people I would always call my family and my fraternity brothers and my, good friends. Those were always the first people I called. You want to know why? Because the people I would go to in the foxhole, the people I would go to at my worst are the people that I also want to go to at my best, are the people I also want to go to when, like, I don't need anything from you right now. I just want to show you some love. And the way in which we don't give Justin Jolie the show you some love touches, but God knows when we need that 4th and however long, God knows when we want to get in the end zone, you'll find them. But it's like the play in, play out. Hey, listen, we're going to have to be, a team that throws the ball short, counts on our guys to get some yak yards. He's one of the best at it. Let's just give him a shot. Let's just see what he can do. Instead, is we'll get it to him when we get it to him. And then when in your moment of deepest need, all of a sudden, Please come up with this catch, Justin, please. And he shows up, the dude abides, but it's just so embarrassing.
Yeah, to that point, it's interesting that we go to Jolie when we're in a pinch. Because if that's your guy that you go to when you need a first down or you're looking to put some points on the board, how is that not your first look on basically every passing play? How? That's one of the most head-scratching discrepancies about this offense right now is the number one options are not being targeted as the number one options. I would include Noah Rodgers in that conversation. And if you want to look running back-wise, Hollywood Smothers. I think he did more than prove himself on Saturday night. That guy needs the majority of the touches coming out of the backfield. Point blank, period.
And I get it. He was injured before. He was injured. Yeah. I understand that. But even before the injury, why are we playing around and pity-patting around? We knew from about game 1 or 2 against Tennessee, he was the only back that was consistently picking up yards when he touched the ball. That was your answer. That right there was your answer.
We're going to touch more on this, of course, when we discuss Kenton's keys in just a moment, looking back at how NC State did against them on Saturday night. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are just right for that role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you simply cannot find anywhere else, even those who are not actively searching for a new job, but may be open to just the right role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So quite frankly, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, they simply might not have the time or resources to hire effectively. That's where LinkedIn comes to play. They're constantly finding ways to make these processes easier. They've even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions with They've even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, which streamlines this process. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Middle portion of our Monday show. Now time to walk back and look at how NC State football did against Kenton's Keys on Saturday night, starting with the offense. Our first offensive key was to score 35-plus points. Nowhere close. Only finished with 17. And that certainly isn't helped by turning the ball over 3 times in plus territory. Number 2 was to get tight end Justin Jolie 7-plus targets. As we've already highlighted, only 2 targets for Justin Jolie. And those 2 targets only came in a pinch. Just kind of hammering this point home here. How on earth is he not getting 7, 8, 9, 10-plus targets a game? I don't know how much more clearly we can outline this. If you're not getting him the ball, it is offensive malpractice.
You get it to the guy in the pinch, and he delivers. What more do you want? What more do you want to say, you know what? We've got the game plan. We've got the scheme for him being an integral part of the offense. What more can you ask for? 2 huge plays, 2 of the biggest plays of the game. What more can you ask for of him before you feel comfortable saying, you know what, maybe the offense needs to run through you, or at least we need to try to make it run through.
And not just that, but when you look at over the course of the entire season, when has Justin Jolie not produced when you've thrown him the ball? He's been the leading pass catcher in, I think, like 4 of the 6 games or 7 games, something close to that. He's up near the top of yards per game every single game. And then he's doing that on 2 targets, 3 targets, 4 targets. Am I speaking a different language here? Like, how is this guy not getting targeted more? How is he not a bigger option in the grand scheme of your offense? That remains to be a massive question mark. And until that gets solved, again, we're going to keep asking for it. He should be the number 1, if not the number 2 option on every single time CJ Bailey drops back for a pass. I am that serious about that. Justin Jolie is more than likely one of the best players on the whole team. On the whole team. Let me not mince words here. He's one of the best players on the whole team. Treat him as such. Get him the ball and move the ball down the field, man. And the third and final offensive key was to not target Casey Concepcion more than 2 times behind the line of scrimmage. To my knowledge, I think there was only 1. So This was actually the only offensive key that we technically accomplished, although at this point it feels very hollow. So 1 for 3 on offense. Now flipping over to the defense. The first defensive key was to force Kyle McCord into 3+ turnovers. Goose egg. We're not able to force a single turnover. And again, when you turn the ball over 3 times, Syracuse turns it over 0, it's going to be hard to come back and win that game.
Yep. In the words of the game, Dre told me ain't no coming back from gold. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no coming back from turning the ball over 3 times and not turning your opponent over once. There is no coming back from that. Every single stat outside of turnovers says NC State should win this game. But when you don't generate turnovers and when you turn it over on your own, when you get in the scoring position, that's what happens.
There was a chart, and I don't remember who put it out, but it was on Twitter, and basically they had a bunch of stats, and they outlined the post-game win expectancy. NC State was like 92.7%. That proves to you that based on all the numbers, NC State should have won that game. But when you turn the ball over 3 times and you can't force any of your own, there's your ball game. And the third and final defensive key was to not commit more than 40 yards of penalties in total. So the total penalty yards was 42, and I went back and checked. 20 of those were on offense, only 22 on defense. So that is technically another check mark there. So 1 of 3 on offense, 1 of 3 on defense, 2 of 6 overall. Kenton, does that sound about right?
Yeah, it does. And they played a clean game. That's what I wanted more than anything else. And the penalties that did come on defense were costly penalties. But I mean, I'm not going to say anything else about penalties and Ken's keys because ACC officiating is just god awful to the point where you literally you kind of have to count on them being against you. And by the way, the only reason that we were under 40 yards on defense is because 2 of those penalties occurred very, very deep in NC State territory to where it was just half the distance to the goal and not additional yards. You got Davin Van participating without a helmet. You got the targeting from Cooley. That's 30 yards right there if you're not in that space to where it gets condensed. But in all seriousness, I'm not going to say anything else about the officiating. I was just left speechless at multiple points at how bad it was. I was just literally stuck sitting there. And this is not to say, the officiating is out to get NC State. No, I just think that ACC officiating has been that bad this year to where it's legitimately like something has to be done. Something has to be done because that, again, the no illegal hands to the face was so confusing because I'm just like, in what world does somebody's helmet just fly off by osmosis? I played football for 17 years. I wore a lot of helmets in my life. Never once did a helmet just fly off of me or any other player just because. I mean, unless Magneto was in the crowd moving the metal in his helmet, I don't understand how else it jumped off his head. So, hey, more power to him for being disciplined and avoiding penalties, not making the ball-headed mistakes in that regard. Like Grayson said, the defense played well enough. I'm not going to say they played well. I'm not going to say they played great. They played well enough to win this game.
I actually just realized I never read the second defensive key. That was to hold Syracuse under 35% on third down conversion rate. Did not accomplish that. They actually were 8 of 15, which is 53%. So my apologies. I skipped that one over, but 1 for 3 on defense. Last couple words here on the numbers side before we switch over to our big picture takeaways. I told you the total play discrepancies. Syracuse had 76. NC State had just 45. That happens when you turn the ball over. And I know I've said turnover 38,000 times already in this episode. That is why we lost. That is the big red circle on the exam that you get back and you're nervous to show your parents. That is exactly why. Because you look defensively, TFLs, Syracuse only produced 3. NC State produced 8. Sacks, Syracuse 2. NC State 2. Pretty even across the board. Total yards, Syracuse 424. NC State 411. Passing yards, Syracuse air raid offense 346. NC State 329. CJ Bailey competed. Rushing yards, Syracuse 78. NC State 82. Now that's not great, but still, you competed. The numbers are relatively similar across the board. Turnovers, NC State 3, Syracuse 0. Points off of turnovers. NC State 0, Syracuse 21. There's your ball game right there.
Yeah. And I know some of y'all are going to think I was sleeping the way I had my eyes closed for an extended period there when Grace was talking about the third down conversions. But what I was doing was imagining a world. Do it with me now, everybody. Come on, practice with me. Go to your safe space, right? Imagine a world with me where we can get off the damn field on third down. That feels like a good world to live in, doesn't it? Feels like a great world. But we're just not going to get it this year. We're just not going to get it. You get them in third and long, and time again, they're going to convert it some way, somehow, And that's why I'm hesitant to say the defense played well, because don't get me wrong. You didn't allow a ton of points, yes. But between the 20s, you were terrible. And then when they got down in that zone, you bent, but you didn't break. Sure, fine. But the reality of this thing is simple. When you cannot get off the field, you're increasing how tired you are and increasing how cold the offense is.
Yep.
Get your behind off of the field on third downs. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. It's mind-blowing, man. It's mind-blowing. We keep getting teams in the third and long. You do it right on first down. Do it right on second down. Close it out. Collect the series and get your punt. Get right, church, and let's go home. But instead, time and time again, you let teams find a way. You let teams get you with the same things over and over and over again.
And conversely, I remember so much in the offseason, we talked about the possibility of the offense having to lead the charge this year if the defense could not reach that same standard. Games like this are exactly where that point is proven. The offense is going to have to be a driving force if this team wants to win any additional ball games. They're going to have to step up and punch above weight here, because the defense, although they played fine in this game, there's so much more stress when the offense can't stay on the field. If the defense can't get off the field and the offense can't stay on it, this is the type of result that you get. Coming up next, we're going to dive into our big picture takeaways from this loss to Syracuse after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Monday sponsor is Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks, and it makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier than ever before. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, and you won't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The curation of Gametime Picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. Toggling the all-in pricing feature on the app will show your total up front, so you receive zero surprises at checkout. And as always, you get that panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know. It's game time. Last couple minutes here on our Monday show. Now time for our big picture takeaways from a 24-17 loss at the hands of the Syracuse Orange. Kenton, I'll let you kick this off for us. What are the biggest things you're taking away from another tough loss at home?
It's just that this is one of the worst cases of can't get right itis I've ever seen. You sit up here and have a situation where your offense is doing well and moving the ball effectively and efficiently. You just can't finish drives. You have moments where you get guys in third and long, you just can't get them off the field. We have guys that are performing every time they're targeting, and we're just refusing to target them. This is just an epic letdown of a season. But with that being said, there's plenty of season left. And I want to see, again, what this team is made of, because these guys, this young team that we're getting whooped on with, they're going to be old one day. They're going to be old. Come sooner than we think. We're going to be looking up saying, man, Noah Rogers did a lot of damage at NC State, didn't he? Man, Casey and his little brother, they can scoop. They can absolutely scoop, can't they? Man, what were we thinking not playing Hollywood Smothers more of the time? There's going to come a day where that happens. And I know it does not serve as much of a consolation prize when we are seeing, hey, we're losing games right now to teams that we shouldn't be, or we're losing games in manners that you shouldn't. But sometimes you just have that type of a time, and it's so disappointing that we're seeing this in year 12 from Dave Dorn. It really and truly is.
For me, it's become such a numb feeling watching this football team, unfortunately. And it's kind of hard to believe that we're already past the midpoint of the season. We've played 7 football games. We're sitting here in mid-October, and it all kind of feels like a blur. All the anticipation leading up into the season, and then you blink maybe once or twice, and half the season is already gone. You're sitting here with a 3-4 record, and all the expectations for this team are pretty much gone. I mean, it's reached the point where you have to just go into an NC State football game and just say, all right, let's see what they show us today, because you can't really expect much. You can't even expect them to beat the teams that they hypothetically should beat, because they're not even doing that. And so for me, my number one most important point, and Kenton, you basically just touched on it there, I just need to see incremental improvement from our guys moving forward. And I think you did get that on Saturday night from CJ Bailey. That was his best performance to date, and you just want to see him continue to build on that. He's only going to continue to get better. And I think that is encouraging now and in the future. And it doesn't just stop at CJ. When you look at Noah Rogers, who's still a redshirt freshman, finally got in the end zone for the first time. That was great. Should it have counted? No, because I think he was out of bounds. But it's going to stay in the record book. You want to see guys like that continue to progress week in and week out. Hopefully you find Justin Jolie a lot more, but I guess we can't get our hopes up for that either. But guys like Hollywood Smothers, you get him back from injury, and he shines in the first game back. I need to see more of guys like that. Defensively, we know that Caden Fordham is now unfortunately lost for the rest of the season. Thoughts and prayers to him. That's awful. But defensively, you might want to look to do the same thing. We have a guy by the name of Elijah Groves, who Tony Gibson called a monster in the preseason. I know he's a freshman, and they're probably looking to retain his red shirt, but in the last 4 games of the season, I want to see the young guys get their burn, because that is only going to help this team moving forward. It's very unfortunate that we're talking about next year, because we still have a little bit under half of a season to go, but that's where we're at. I no longer have any expectations for this team. Whatever they show us is going to be what they show us. But my number one thing I want to see improvement. Offensively, defensively, hopefully from the coaching staff as well, because that has also been a massive disappointment. I just want to see this team fight and continue to get better day in and day out. Because at this point, that's really all that matters moving forward. Even wins and losses, I know the team doesn't see it like that. They want to go 1-0 every week. You just got to find ways to get better, because that's the only thing you're really playing for right now.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. At the end of the day, have some pride about yourself. Have some pride. That's really all you can ask this team at this point.
That'll do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us what your big picture takeaways are, where you see this team moving forward the rest of the season, and your priorities of things that you want to see from this team. Let us know all of your thoughts in the comment box. Anything else you have on your mind, drop that down there as well. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. At time of recording here, we are just 5 subscribers away from 2,600. We're continuing to see our numbers move up. We cannot be more thankful for all of the support, all you guys watching, all you guys listening each and every week. The season's not going the way that any of us want it to, but we're all in this together. And we certainly cannot appreciate enough the support that we get from Wolfpack Nation. So mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more on Tuesday. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.